Welcome to another Adobe Script tutorial. Let's talk about layers in the big three apps: InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop. A lot is similar between each app, but not everything. We'll go through each app, starting with InDesign. I'll make a new InDesign document. It begins with a single layer named Layer 1. In VS Code, I'll make a new script. I'll put this under InDesign so it shows up in the Scripts panel. I'll name it Adobe Script Tutorial 27. All three apps have the property Active Document. Load that into a variable. var doc equals app active document. The doc object has a property, layers. For InDesign, that's all there is to it. Illustrator and Photoshop have more. We'll get to that. Make a loop to go through the layers. For var I equals 0, I is less than doc layers length, I++. List the layer index and name, which is the property name. Alert layer index plus I plus name equals doc layers I name. The new script should appear in the InDesign Scripts panel. Double-click to run it. First thing to notice is the layer index. Like many objects, layers are collections, even when there's only one, like in this case. There can be multiple layers, and usually there are, so the idea of a collection is needed. This works like an array, which is 0 indexed, meaning the first item is at index 0. When there are more, the second item is index 1, then index 2, and so on. So the alert shows layer index is 0, but the name is layer 1. Now add a layer. It goes on top, and by default, the name is layer 2. Run the script again. Layer 1 is no longer index 0. The highest layer in the list, layer 2, is index 0. The indexing for layers goes from top to bottom. This demonstrates how we identify objects in script code is often different from how we identify things in the application. Name is one property of each layer object, and we can change its value in code. Before the loop, add this line: doc layers 0 name equals new name. Run the script, and you can see the name changed, not only in our alert, but the document changed as well. There are many other properties, too many to mention here. I'll put links in the description to online references. There are two properties I will mention because you'll likely use them. Comment the code for the loop to disable it for now. Then add these lines after the loop. Doc layer 0 locked equals true. Doc layer 0 visible equals false. Run the script. In the Layers panel, you can see the result. Layer 2 not only has a new name, it's locked and hidden. Next, how to find layers. Add these two lines. var layer equals doc layers item by name doesn't exist. Alert layer name. This calls the method item by name on the doc layers collection. But I've passed a layer name that doesn't exist. Run the script. The script reports an error. Object is invalid. Change the name to a layer that does exist, for example, layer 1. Now it works. Now let's try the same in Illustrator. Make a blank document, then add a second layer. In Illustrator, how to run a script is different. In the File menu, choose Script, Other Script, Note the Windows shortcut, Control F12. For macOS, the shortcut is Command F12. I'll use the keyboard shortcut to run the script. Navigate to the script file and Open. We get an error because Illustrator doesn't have a layer method, item by name. In Illustrator, the method is called getByName. This is one example of differences between the apps that we have to keep track of. I'll duplicate the two lines and comment the original as the InDesign version. Then change the method to getByName. Run that. Now it works. Note that Layer 2 was changed to New Name, and the properties locked and visible still work the same. That much is the same between InDesign and Illustrator. I'll comment the lines to disable them. Next, let's explore something Illustrator can do that InDesign can't: have layers inside of other layers. Add a new line. Doc, Layers 1, Layers, Add. The layer at index 1 has its own collection of layers below it. To that, we add a new layer. Save and run the script. And there is the new layer. Note how it's not at the top level, like other document layers. It's a sublayer of layer 1. Say we want to change the name of the new layer. We'll need a layer object of it. The easy way is to get the layer object while adding it. The add method returns the layer created. We just have to load it into a variable. Start the line with var layer equals. Then you can access the layer object returned. Layer name equals layer 4. I'll remove the added layer and run the script again. Again, the layer is added, and this time the name is updated. Now that the sublayer is added, I'll comment the lines to keep from adding it again every time we run the script. The next challenge is how to find layers when they're under other layers. Copy the lines to get layer 1 and alert its name, but change layer 1 to layer 4. Save and run the script. We get an error. No such element, because we're searching the document layers collection for a layer named layer 4. But layer 4 is a sublayer under doc layers 1. We'll have to dig deeper. Within each layer, we need to check if it has sublayers attached to it. This takes a function to search layers and layers inside layers. Function getLayer, layer name. We need a variable to fill when the layer is found. Var layer. Then create a subfunction, meaning a function within this function, because it's only ever needed here. You could define the function as usual, beginning with the function keyword, then the name. But I like to make clear it's a subfunction. I do this by making a variable the name I want, then assign the function to the variable. Either way gets the same result. Var search layers equals function O. The parameter O is the object we'll search. For var I equals 0. I is less than O layers length. I++. First thing to check is if the layer has any sublayers. We know sublayers exist when the length property is greater than 0. If O layers I layers length. This function is recursive, meaning it calls itself. Only this time, pass the layer object we're looking at, rather than its parent we passed before this. Search layers, O layers I. So we're digging down into the layers. If the layer is found, we're done. If layer, break. Otherwise, check if the current layer matches the name we're looking for. If O layers I name equals layer name, we found it. Assign it to the variable layer and end the loop. Layer equals O, layers I, break. That ends the subfunction. Then begin the search by calling the subfunction, starting with the document object. Search layers, app, active document. From there, it will drill down into layers as needed. And finally, return the variable layer, or undefined if a layer with the name isn't found. Now to try it. Add these lines. var layer equals get layer, layer 4. Alert, layer name. Save and run the script. Now it works. The function finds a layer even when it's a sublayer below another layer. Now for Photoshop. A lot is the same as Illustrator, but not exactly. In Photoshop, each layer doesn't have a property layers under it. But unlike Illustrator, the layers collection allows more than just layer objects. Within the same collection, it's possible to store layer set objects as well. To the average Photoshop user, these are better known as groups. In code, they are called layer sets. Layer sets have a property layers, under which other layers can exist, as they do when adding to a group in the Layers panel. I'll create a new document similar to the others. Make the background a layer, add a layer, then add a group. And under it, add another new layer. This is Photoshop's version of a sublayer. In the code, I'll duplicate the getLayer function. Mark the original as Illustrator and comment it to disable. In Photoshop, layers don't have a property layers, so take that part out. Still compare the name, but after it, add an else block. If the layer is an instance of layer set, that's a group, which can have layers in it. Send that to search layers. Otherwise, the function works the same. I'll get layer 2, which is inside the group. Save and run the script. It works. Renaming the layer at index 1 still works, but it's a group, not a layer. The name property works the same for groups and layers. Also, the property visibility works the same, but the property locked doesn't exist in Photoshop layers. There are other properties more complex. See the link in the description for a reference to Photoshop layer properties. One last thing. You may prefer to find layers regardless of letter case. This is easy to do. In the function getLayer, add a new variable, var nameLC. Assign to it the name converted to lowercase. NameLC equals layer name to lowercase. Then when comparing names, convert the current layer name to lowercase and compare it to nameLC instead of layer name. If O layers I, name to lowercase equals nameLC. Now layer names match even if letter case isn't exactly the same. I've made a download for the code. Get it at the link in the description. Like this video and subscribe. Also, leave a comment. All feedback is welcome. Click the video or playlist on screen for more. Thank you for watching.